Get ready, start. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, the bill it has emerged from the Joint Select Committee has certainly been one which is much more acceptable to the workers than it was when it was originally moved in this House. Sir, as far as the general principle and the objectives of the bill are concerned, it is very laudable not only because of the fact that the workers in a welfare state are entitled to leisure and are entitled to know exactly the terms and conditions under which they have to work, but also because of the fact that as far as the transport workers are concerned, their leisure and the strain on their nervous and muscles is not only a matter of welfare but is also a matter of safety as far as the community is concerned. It is well known, sir, that the large number of accidents that take place on the roads are due to the fact that some of the transport workers have to work so strenuously that after a time they begin to experience fatigue, and as a result of that they are not in a position to have that alert mind which is absolutely necessary if the accidents are to be avoided, at least in the crowded streets, and because of the fact that the passengers travel between towns and cities and between one village and another, and the transport of goods from one city to another also now takes place through road transport. It is quite safe to say that there is hardly any road in our country which at some time or another is not so cognizant as to require a very alert mind on the part of the driver to see that accidents do not take place. Many tragic accidents have taken place on the roads, especially in recent times in the neighborhood of big towns and large cities, largely because of the fact that there are trucks and buses and other heavy vehicles moving on the roads, and at the same time light vehicles and small vehicles are also plying on the same roads, and so many times it becomes very difficult for fatigued driver to control his vehicle, especially a heavy vehicle, and also because of the fact that the roads themselves are also not quite in good maintenance, that the accidents do take place. Therefore, sir, the objective of the bill is very important. As I said, it is important not only from the point of view of the welfare of the worker, of his right to leisure, but also from the point of view the safety of our roads in view of this, sir, and in view of the fact that it is hardly quite safe if the driver himself is not quite alert and his nerves are not quite fresh. It will spell disaster for the road users. In view of his, the Joint Select Committee has wisely rejected the classification that was originally proposed in the bill. That classification was made on an idea that in the towns the traffic was more congested, that the strain on the driver was heavier, and that therefore he required rest more immediately than was the case of a driver who had to drive between one village and another or one town and another because there the roads were at a long stretch and there the traffic perhaps was not so heavy. That particular contention would not be quite true to reality, and even if it were so, the implementation of that particular classification would have been very difficult because many of the vehicles that ply between towns also ply within the towns, and therefore it would have been very difficult to make a distinction as to when the driver was employed in plying his vehicle within the town and between the towns, and from that point of view also this classification would have been undesirable. To my mind, therefore, the Joint Select Committee has wisely done away with this classification. While doing away with this classification, however, sir, the Joint Select Committee has thought it fit to raise the separate over to 12 hours in all cases for all the drivers. Now, sir, it is perhaps reasonable to expect that when a driver has to ply his vehicle between one town and another, a separate over of 12 hours per day might have been justifiable in view of the fact that the distances there are long and therefore it will perhaps be difficult to say that the separate over could be reduced to less than 12 hours. In the towns and cities, on the other hand, sir, it is more necessary not to separate the hours of work over a stretch of 12 hours because it is possible there to see that the shifts are so arranged that the total separate over is not as long as 12 hours. Now, because this classification has gone away, this separate over has been made uniform 12 hours for every driver. Stop.